Welcome back to TechniqueWOD. Today we're talking about grip strength and how to get more muscular endurance and strength for your forearms and your grip. So everything I'm going to talk about today in this video is going to be in addition to whatever you're already doing in your normal training. I assume if you're watching this video that you already are doing deadlifts and you're doing pull-ups and you're doing bent rows and you're already holding onto a barbell or a pull-up bar to some extent, and so you already have some amount of stimulus and muscular endurance, strength, and you're already training your forearms to some extent. Everything we talk about today is going to be extra, more novel things that you can do to further your forearm training and make it where you have the muscular endurance to get through a very grip-intensive WOD, or you have the muscular endurance to hang on to a false grip where you're not sliding out of the rings and losing it, as an example. So, not talking about a bunch of regular barbell training today. It's going to be all the unique stuff that we do in addition to those things. So, we'll start with something basic like a rope. A lot of people in functional fitness type gyms, you're already doing rope climbs, which is fantastic. If you're already doing that, if you can already do a regular rope climb where you're using your feet and you have the technique to climb a rope, that's fantastic. If you're doing legless rope climbs, all the better. If you can't do either one of those things, then just doing a very basic, just a very basic hang and just hang for time and then put your feet back down is a great option. Hanging onto a rope is a little bit different than hanging onto a barbell because the force isn't going right through your fingers, it's kind of going at a different angle, and so the way your grip is being trained when you're holding onto a rope with that different angle of pull is different than hanging onto a barbell. In addition to that, most of the time the ropes are a little bit thicker than a barbell. This one's a little bit thicker. Some ropes are a little bit bigger than this even. I like, especially for me specifically, I do jiu-jitsu. I trained for MMA for a long time, no-gi jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and anything that's about the size of a forearm. This is a little bit small for my forearm, or even we'll talk about this quite a bit here in a minute, but like the sleeves, the sleeves on a barbell are a great option, or even these fat grips. These things are right around the same diameter or circumference of a forearm. I like using things like that because for me, having good muscular endurance for jiu-jitsu and for wrestling is really, really valuable. So if you're in those combat sports and you need to have like really, really good grip strength right around that wrist size diameter, then using ropes and these fat grips are really, really good options. So if you don't play with the rope already, that's a great option for you. We're just going to roll through a bunch of options, not really teach a lot of technique on this video, by the way. Another great option, in addition to deadlifts and hanging on a bar and rope climbs, it's just a basic farmer's walk, okay? Where you're holding some type of heavy implement, maybe kettlebells, maybe actual farmer's handles. And that's great for your grip. If you want to add, some of these enhancers where it makes the grip a little bit larger, those are great options as well. It's also a good way to deload. If I don't want to do the heaviest farmer's walk possible, I'm not looking for that full body systemic effect. I'm not looking for full body strength. Maybe I'm on a deload week, or I just want to go light for some reason. Maybe I have an achy low back, but it's not too bad, and I just want to like lighten the load a little bit. Having something that makes the grip the more challenging part of the movement makes it where I can still put forth 100% effort, but it becomes self-limiting much earlier than it would if I was able to grip very, very strongly, which means I would have to do more weight in order to get the set done in 30 seconds or for 50 yards or whatever you're shooting for. Okay. So that's a great option. If you don't have farmer's handles and or you don't have grips, suppose you could put the grips onto just regular old dumbbells. They usually fit about like that. Or if you don't have dumbbells, some people don't even have dumbbells, maybe you have an axle bar or just a thicker barbell. Now, this one's really short, but enough to put a couple of plates. Same deal. You can do deadlifts with this thicker bar, and it's self-limiting, where you're not going to be doing the heaviest deadlifts you've ever done. The grip will be the limiter. And I'm assuming if you're training your grip, you're not going to be alternating and making it where the thicker bar is now not an issue anymore. If you have a thicker bar and you alternate your grip, you can still pick up a pretty heavy weight, and it's not that challenging on your forearm. So make sure that you're doing, both this pronated wrist position or forearm position. If you don't have one of those, you more than likely have a couple of barbells. You can just put 2 barbells. I usually put them in a landmine. If you don't have a landmine, that's fine too. You can put them in the corner of a room, and you can step around this side over here if you could. If you don't have a thicker barbell, an axle bar, or something similar, you can use 2 barbells. You just stand and just pick them up. If you're facing them, you're probably going to want to step forward. You can do shrugs and other exercises here if you want as well, and then make sure to step back so you don't drop it on your toes. If you want to face the other way, you can do that too. But you're going to kind of be leaning back just a little bit, just like you see when you watch World's Strongest Man and they do the car deadlifts. It's on a pivot, and so they always kind of lean a little bit. I was going to say something else about that. Oh yeah. The other thing you can do here is you can use this like it's a dumbbell. You can do something like, Chinese rows with your elbow out to the side, or just regular rows, but you can use the thicker part of the bar on the sleeve for a variety of exercises. We showed landmine presses in a video not too long ago. That's not super grip intensive, but just landmines in general are just really, really useful. This isn't grip intensive, but you're just using the bar in a different way than you would when you're hanging on to the center of the bar where the grip is that much more narrow. Similar to the rope, if you don't have a rope, you could always just hang a towel over a bar, and it ends up being about maybe slightly smaller than the rope once you squeeze it down, but still you get that great grip. You can actually do full real pull-ups, or if you want to just hang at the bottom, you can, or you can hang right here. It doesn't matter as long as you're just taxing your grip 100%. A lot of people like to do some type of hang on the towel or hang on the bar supersetted with something like the farmer's walks, where you're doing the farmer's walks a little bit lighter than normal because your grip's already going to be pretty tired and you're going to failure for your grip. And so you would do a hang as long as you can, and then maybe like max time for whatever weight you put on the farmer's walk. So maybe you hang for a minute and then you walk for a minute, and you're gonna get a deep, deep, deep forearm burn. And so if you're a person that wants to be able to to do a longer Metcon where you're going back and forth between something like farmer's walks and kipping pull-ups or whatever it happens to be, and your grip is your limiter, then doing supersets like that or Metconning like that is really, really valuable. It'll help you build up that muscular endurance. If you don't have the strength to do a pull-up or even to hang from a towel, then you can always just loop it through a ring even, or even a lower bar. You could just do hangs like this, or you could do ring rows with a towel. Those work really well. Put that down right there. Other things you can do as far as isometric strength, anytime you're doing bottoms up pressing, so I'm holding the bell above my hand and it wants to tip back and forth, and my forearm has to catch it, right? And so as it kind of wiggles and as I get tired, if I'm doing overhead pressing or if I'm doing incline pressing, anything that I'm doing where I'm in that bottoms up position, as I'm stabilizing the bell from falling, it's taxing my forearm quite a bit. Very similar to if you happen to be good enough at handstands where you can do a static handstand without walking around for a minute, 2 minutes, or even longer. Some people can do 5 or 10 minutes of a handstand, and their forearms get very tired because they're moving their body around. They're locked out, of course. They're moving their body around just more or less right at the wrist joint. Everything is very tight. They're in that perfectly hollow, straight body position. Nothing is moving except they're pivoting solely at the wrist, and their forearms end up getting very, very tired. Also, if you happen to have other attachments, this is an attachment where you can do some type of cable pull downs or seated rows. With these thicker handles, those work very, very well. If you want to do some type of pinch grip, let's go over here. If you want to do pinch grip work, you can pinch with just your fingertips and have a gap between the plate and your hand and do farmer's walks like that. Again, it'll be lighter as far as total body goes, but it's good for your grip. 25s are going to be light and they're going to be more narrow. 35s, these ones are a little easier because they have a little bit of a ridge, but the thickness is a little bit different, so you can try that. Usually these bigger, thicker 45s are pretty tough, but what we used to do in high school 15 years ago, Jesus, or longer, how many years ago? 17, 18 years ago. Good God, I keep getting older. Because we used to take plates, 2, 3, 4 plates, and now you have to squeeze the plates together. And especially if you have 3 plates. Well, now if you're doing your walks, you're not squeezing hard enough, then usually the middle plate will fall out. And so there's a certain amount of squeeze you have to get before you get that feedback and the plates fall apart. So that's a fun way to do farmers walks. We used to do that a lot in the hallways of our high school outside of the weight room, dropping plates on the ground in the hallway. They appreciated that. Also, other fun ways to do farmers walks. If you take, I like doing things that aren't just like the same diameter, like I said earlier about, this is right around the grip width of a barbell. I like doing stuff where it's a little bit bigger, like this. So you can carry 25s, 35s. As you get beyond that, 45s, 55s, it starts to get too big depending on how big your hands are. But like 25s and 35s seem to be a good size for my size hands. And then you can walk around for a pretty long time like that. But it's great for muscular endurance. Again, which is, for the most part, for me, what I'm training for right now is jiu-jitsu, and I need a lot of muscular endurance to roll, 5-minute rounds at the end of practice, that type of thing, without blowing up my forearms too much. Oh yeah, false grip stuff. Let's go over here. So for the most part, everything that I showed as a fun option that you can try has been done with a mostly neutral-ish wrist. False grip, you're going to have that as far as you can, but ideally right around 90-degree bend. If you don't have that, then working these types of stretches, get your hands wide and wider. You can rock back and forth. You can put them in front and you can walk back like this. Getting to the point where you can get at least 90 degrees at the wrist is really, really important for maintaining that perfect false grip position. Once you can maintain that position, and once you can achieve that position rather, you need to be able to maintain that position. You need to be able to maintain it under high load for a long period of time, like if you're doing strict muscle ups or a series of kipping muscle ups. If you are a person that has a lot of trouble with muscle ups, and every time you do a muscle up, you end up kind of sliding out of that position, especially as you get sweaty and you do multiple reps, it's hard not to want to slide out of that position. So certainly you have regular muscle ups that you can do, but there's no reason that you can't, come to the side please. There's no reason that you can't do, ring rows with a false grip. All right? And you can do angled, really easy ring rows like this, or you can, get your feet up on a box and do more horizontal, heavier ring rows. Of course, you can also false grip on a kettlebell. Kettlebells actually work great for false grip. If you can open your hand and hold the kettlebell, then you're probably in a good enough false grip position where you can bang out, some one-arm rows, or standing dumbbell rows, or whatever you want. And that's really nice that you can use kettlebells, because kettlebells are super light. If you're traveling, you can throw them in your truck, and you can still train your false grip even when you don't have rings that you're hanging from something, or a pull-up bar that you're pulling on. I've never really tried to do farmer's walks with a false grip, but I don't see why you couldn't. So there you go. Tons of great options on training your grip isometrically. We're going to come back on part 2 of this video series, just a 2-part series, and we're going to talk about more kind of isotonic, concentric, eccentric, forearm training, where we're actually getting our wrists to move a little bit, and we're getting more of a forearm pump. And isometrics don't tend to grow muscle mass. They don't tend to put a stimulus forward where you gain muscle size. Repetitions where you're getting that concentric, eccentric tend to help out with that quite a bit more. So we're going to cover that in the second half of this video. Thank you for watching. I'm Douglas E. Larson on Instagram, and I'm all over the Shrugged Collective, so check out the Shrugged Collective as well, and we'll see you another day.
Welcome to the Shrugged Collective Program Vault. Over the last 6 years, we've been leading the charge in online strength and conditioning programming and coaching. And for the first time in the history of the Shrugged Collective, we're combining our 11 best-selling long-term and short-term accessory programs into one membership site called the Program Vault. From Olympic weightlifting to strongman, leaning out, nutrition, you name it, our 11 best-selling programs are yours for $47 a month. Get to shruggedcollective.com/vault and you will find immediate access to our 11 best-selling strength and conditioning programs.